The first time the station alarm screamed, I was on my knees scrubbing someone else's blood from the floor. That's how my story began. Not with heroics, not with destiny, but with a mop in my hands and the echo of panic rolling through a forgotten maintenance wing of Helios Station. I remember thinking the alarms were just another drill. They always were. I was wrong. Because when the screaming stopped, I heard something else. Crying. Not human. Not quite. And that was only the beginning. Helios Station orbited a dead star, a diplomatic hub for a dozen species who didn't trust each other enough to share planets. I was Elias Ward, sanitation crew. A janitor. The kind of man people looked through instead of at. That invisibility saved lives. Mine and theirs. The crying led me to a sealed cargo alcove marked biohazard. Quarantine failed. The door was bent inward, clawed from the inside. Whatever had been locked in there hadn't wanted to stay. I should have reported it. That's what protocol said. Instead I opened the door. Two small figures huddled inside, skin like pale opal, eyes too large and too dark. They were children. At least they felt like children. Thin arms wrapped around each other. No translator implants. No vocalizations beyond a broken, trembling sound. They looked at me like prey looks at fire. I lowered myself to the floor and set the mop aside. "It's okay," I whispered, not knowing if okay existed for them. "I'm not here to hurt you." One of them reached out with a trembling hand. That touch changed everything. They never spoke. Not once. I hid them in the old sanitation tunnels, where the station's upper species never bothered to look. I brought them nutrient paste, stole thermal blankets, learned which frequencies soothed them and which made them shiver. I named them Luma and Sol. Light and warmth. Human names for alien children who had none. They learned fast. Faster than any human child I'd ever seen. They watched. They absorbed. They mimicked emotions before understanding them. Luma flinched at loud noises. Sol stared at the stars for hours, unmoving, like he was listening to something far away. I told myself I was doing the right thing. But every night I wondered what I was stealing them from. And every morning I chose them anyway. Because something hunted them. Station security logs began to change. Restricted zones sealed without explanation. Non-human patrols doubled. Rumors spread in whispers between cleaning shifts. The silent brood had been found. An ancient species thought extinct. Empathic. Nonverbal. Born in pairs. Feared because they bonded, not to empires, not to queens, but to individuals. And once bonded they could not be separated. If that bond was broken, entire systems went dark. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew the truth. If the queen came, she would not ask. And that was when Luma started bleeding light. It happened in my arms. Her skin fractured like glass under pressure, soft blue radiance spilling through her veins. Sol screamed, not with sound but with force. The lights in the tunnel exploded. Gravity stuttered. I held them both, heart pounding, whispering useless human comforts while the station itself seemed to recoil. Security arrived minutes later. They didn't see the children. They saw a weapon. I ran. Through ducts and dead zones, alarms blaring again, louder this time. My name appeared on every screen. Elias Ward, biological containment breach. I wasn't a janitor anymore. I was a liability. But that was still only the beginning. Halfway to the emergency hangars, Sol looked at me and spoke inside my head. "Stay." I froze. Not a word. A feeling. A command wrapped in fear and trust and something painfully close to love. You can talk?" I whispered. "We are not meant to," he replied. "But you taught us noise." That was when I realized the truth. They weren't just bonding to me. They were becoming human. And somewhere beyond the station's hull, a queen felt that change ripple through the void. She arrived without warning. The sky outside Helios Station folded inward, stars bending like reflections in broken glass. A living vessel emerged, organic, vast, impossibly old. Every species on the station went silent. The silent queen had come. No weapons fired. No demands broadcast. She didn't need them. Her presence pressed against my mind like gravity. "You have what is mine." The tunnels shook as her will searched for her children. I stood in the dark, Luma and Sol clinging to me, and made the only choice I could live with. I stepped forward. "I won't give them back," I said aloud, voice shaking. "Not like that." The queen paused. "You are nothing," she replied. "Dust that cleans the footsteps of greater beings." "I know," I said. "But they're children. And they're afraid." That was when the queen truly looked at me. And hesitated. She showed me the truth. The silent brood weren't raised. They were harvested. Their bonds weaponized, Their empathy used to pacify worlds, to end wars by erasing will. No cries. No rebellion. Perfect control. You would have turned them into tools, I said, anger burning through the fear. We would have kept them safe, the queen answered. Purpose is safety. I looked down at Luma, glowing softly now, her head resting against my chest. She laughed yesterday, I said. Did you know that? She doesn't even know what it means. The queen recoiled. That sound, laughter, was not in her memory. And in that moment the universe held its breath. The station's leaders demanded surrender. The queen's broodships armed themselves. The silent children trembled between two futures. I felt their choice forming. Not as a command. As a question. If we stay, Sol asked, will you leave us? Tears blurred my vision. Never, I said. Not unless you ask me to. Luma pressed her glowing forehead against mine. And chose. The light flared. Not destructive. Transformative. A new bond formed, one that reached beyond biology, beyond empire. Human stubbornness fused with alien empathy. The queen screamed. Not in rage. In grief. When the light faded, the queen withdrew. Not defeated. Changed. She took her fleet and vanished into the dark, leaving Helios Station damaged but intact. The authorities tried to take the children. They failed. Because the station itself now listened to them. Months later, I was no longer a janitor. I was a guardian. A bridge. Luma learned to sing. Sol learned to joke, badly. They learned fear and kindness and choice. And sometimes, when the stars flickered just right, I felt the queen watching from afar. Not as a conqueror. But as a mother who had learned too late what love could be. Because in the end, the most dangerous thing in the galaxy wasn't a weapon. It was a human who knelt, cleaned the floor and chose to care.